Hello, everyone. My name is Robin. Today, I'm going to be talking about, how can you build a one-click experience on chain? Um, and by one-click experience on chain, I mean how can we do it in a multi-chain format? Like how can we do cross-chain transactions and still keep a very seamless UX for the user? Essentially, how can you build once and scale everywhere your apps? So today I'm here representing Avail, and at Avail we're doing a bunch of things, and the Avail stack essentially is what we are providing you builders to build these seamless multi-chain applications, which helps you to build powerful apps faster, um, allowing you to build cross-chain apps in minutes, not weeks, share liquidity across chains, and consolidate users' unified token balance. I'll get into what I mean in a bit. So essentially, like at Avail, we do a bunch of things. We've got Avail DA, which is our first foundational project called data availability. And today I'm going to be talking more about Nexus, which is our permissionless cross-chain communication layer. And then we also have something that we're building called Fusion, which allows you to have more additive cryptoeconomic security on top of that, right? But let's focus on Nexus here today, right? Nexus essentially allows you and your app to tap into liquidity from multiple different chains at the same time without you having your user to leave your application or like to a third party platform like a bridge, right? Like you probably use multiple bridges in your day-to-day life. If you do use Web3 on a normal basis, such as Across or Relay or Stargate or whatever it is that you use, right? Or even native bridges like from Ethereum to an L2 or from anything else, right? And the problem is this really fragments UX for users and builders, and we want to solve that problem. And how we're going to do it is, well, through Nexus. So as you can see here in this image, that this is a screenshot from Uniswap basically. And if I go to Uniswap today and I click on all networks, I see this long list of networks, which I can obviously, this is great. This is great that I can, Uniswap supports all of these networks, but it is still not the best user experience you could have. What if you don't have to go to an external bridge to be able to use apps on a chain? This means you would no longer need multi-chain deployments and monitoring. You could have a one-click seamless UI experience and abstract away the concept of chains from users. So today we unveiled Avail Nexus SDK, and it has a bunch of features. The core features here are essentially bridge, transfer, and bridge and execute. Bridge, I mean, it's what it is. Bridge means you can bridge your tokens from an n number of source chains to your preferred destination chain um, at the same address. Transfer is pretty much the same concept, but you can define it to a different recipient address. And bridge and execute is basically the core functionality of what makes Nexus stand out. Essentially, imagine you have an app on Base, for example, right? Maybe you want to use Base market on Aave, but you don't have enough liquidity that you want. So you probably have like $100,000 worth of funds across multiple chains in Web3, but you only have 20,000 on your base chain. So, and if you really want to put all of those $100,000 worth of USDC into Aave base market, you have to go to a bridge and do all of these bridging transactions, um, which is again not great. What if you could just click on supply? What if you could just click on supply and that bridging process is taken care for you and the supply function is also executed for you, right? So let's say, like I said, I've got 20,000 USDC on base. But I have like another 80,000, distributed across Optimism or and Polygon and Scroll, etc. Right? So instead of having to go to a third-party platform, if you've integrated Nexus SDK, what you can do is essentially click supply, and Nexus takes care of finding where you have liquidity and bridges it for you and executes a supply smart contract function on Aave and deposits liquidity for you, and you get the returning AUSDC, for example, right? And that is a core functionality because for the user now, it is just a one-click experience or an in-app experience. They do not go to another app, so you retain your users on your website, right? So I will go into a short demo soon, but essentially what you can build with Nexus here is a bunch of really cool multi-chain and cross-chain applications, such as DEXs that allow you to do cross-chain swaps, yield aggregators that can source liquidity from multiple chains and optimize for various yield strategies. You can build an Aave or an Euler or a Morpho kind of lending protocol with universal deposits. That means the user does not have to care where their funds are. They just click deposit. They go to your app, they click deposit, and it happens. You can do pool together. If you don't know what pool together is basically similar concept where you deposit your funds and you buy tickets, and then it's a lottery wherein you earn some rewards. But essentially, pool together is limited in the number of chains it supports. But if you can integrate Nexus to it, it could do a lot more, right? Even tipping clients. So if you've used like decentralized social media networks like Lens or Farcaster, you would see that Farcaster probably supports Base and Lens supports Lens chain. And if you don't have liquidity on either of these chains, it is hard for you to kind of tip on the social media app, right? At that point, can you build a tipping client that can source liquidity from any chain and tip tip your favorite creators, right? Even games like casino type games, Monopoly, etc. And we've linked more project ideas on the resources section of the ETH Global Prizes website, and you can check that out. And we've got a bunch of bounties of about $10,000. Best use of Avail Nexus SDK for areas like gaming, DeFi, RWA, stablecoins, etc. Most innovative use case of the bridge and execute function that I was talking about, and then some, if you would like to build some tooling for Avail Nexus, that's also possible, right? So let me actually go through a really quick demo that we have. So I saw that Privy has also some bounties at ETH Global. So what I really did was just to show how easy it is to kind of integrate Nexus. I took their starter repo, like their starter kit, and integrated Nexus on top of it. So if you, again, all of the resources are there in the resources section of ETH Global. But if you want to check it out, this is it. So essentially, it's a create next app with Privy already integrated, and I have integrated Nexus as well on top of it. And what it does is essentially, let me actually run it. I think, oh yeah, it's running already. So yeah, let me log out also, just to be fair. Okay, so when you first initialize or like when you first run this Privy demo, you get a page like this, and I want to log in, and you see a Privy modal opening up. I'm connecting my MetaMask. Um, if you have your own Privy email address based wallet, you can do that as well. Um, I have funds on my MetaMask for now, so I'm gonna just use that. So I've signed in, right? As you can notice, if you just run the plain old Privy demo, you would just see this section of the demo. But now that I've integrated Nexus SDK, you will see this component as well, right? So this does a lot of stuff. So you can obviously choose from mainnet and testnet, right? And then you can choose which wallet on Privy that you want to use. Right now, I'm using a wallet of starting with 7894, which is fine. And we know that we are ready to initialize this wallet for Nexus SDK. So the first step is obviously I want to initialize it, right? You can see that I'm initializing it, I confirm it, and boom. So the first thing that you notice, you see a bunch of unified balances here. Essentially, you get through the Nexus SDK, it aggregates your entire portfolio and shows you the unified balance, and also gives you a breakdown of all the chains and the tokens that you have it in. So, for example, USDC, I've got it on Base and OP mainnet right now. ETH, I've got it on Arbitrum 1, Base, OP mainnet, Ethereum mainnet. USDT, I've got it on OP mainnet and Arbitrum 1, etc. Right? So I've got all of these balances, and it's the unified balance is basically shown on the top here. And this is really powerful because you as a user or as a developer now, you don't have to worry about having to manage chains and like make sure what chain the user is on. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to like build your application as you want it without worrying about chain configuration, right? So again, we've got a bunch of features, like I mentioned, like transfer, bridge, and execute. So obviously, let's maybe bridge some USDC, right? Let's bridge some USDC. Let's see, we've got some USDC on base right now. Let's bridge it to Optimism because we don't have a lot over here. So let's do that, right? So again, so for each functionality that we have, we've got a simulate option as well. So you can simulate your transactions before you actually execute them to make sure that they actually are correctly formatted, right? So let's do the bridge function. So I'm going to probably, I've got like 15. So I don't know, I want to do like 10 USDC on Optimism. I want to first simulate it. So it'll take some time. It will first look at it'll create an intent and it'll create a simulation. So you can see here now, I have an intent created for the amount of 10, and I want it to be deposited on OP mainnet. Again, I'm using mainnet funds right now, so hopefully it all works well. It should, it will. But yeah, I mean, and you can also see that the sources right now it's taking from Breeze because, and I've not configured from which source to take it from. I just configured what destination chain I want it on. And if I had funds on multiple other chains, it would have sourced liquidity from there as well. But right now I've got a bunch of my liquidity on base, and I want it on Optimism. So what I will do here is now, yeah, I would just click bridge. I've simulated it. It looks good to me, so I'm going to click bridge. First thing that happens is it creates whatever intent we have. The intent hash is generated, and we have to sign it. Okay, all right. So as we can see here, it's success, it's true, and it has worked. Let me go up here and refresh. And you can see it has basically bridged my funds from OP mainnet to base. And to be honest, this does not really matter to a user. This is from a developer point of view. This matters for you. But from a user, when you build your applications, you can build this in a more chain abstracted way where the user does not even know about the chains that are involved. Right now, this is for a developer. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we have that. So, okay, now I'm going to do something really cool now. We did the bridge, the transfer works a similar way, right? Let's actually try from this UI to bridge. So we've got some funds on base, but we also have some funds on OP mainnet. And I want to probably deposit maybe 12 USDC on Airways base market. Okay, so I don't have enough liquidity here. As you can see, I have only like 5 USDC on base. I want to put like 12 USDC. Let's go to Aave and check how much I have here. I have done, yeah, so let me reload it. Okay, I don't have anything supplied yet, as you can see. That's cool, that's fine. All right, so I'm going to bridge and execute. I want to put like 12 USDC because that's obviously more than that I have in base. I'm going to try and simulate this first just to make sure. Oh, wait. Let's see if I have. Let's try 10 then. Not sure what happened there. There's some edge cases I didn't code into the demo. That is why it's probably failing. But okay. That's fine. It should work. It's just some edge cases I didn't consider for, but that's fine. Um, but okay, anyway, now that I want to bridge 10 USDC, it's possible. It says, the steps that's going to be taken is it's going to bridge first. It is going to bridge it to base. You see that it's going to take sources from OP mainnet, and the amount is going to be, yeah, it's going to bridge basically that 10 USDC, and then it'll source the rest of the stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And all right, so we have that, and I'm going to bridge and execute it. Essentially, it's going to do something similar. It's going to bridge that 10 USDC over. I sign the intent hash. Oh, yeah, 1 second. So as we see here, we have obviously now it is bridged And now on base, we have those 10 USDC that will be converted into AUSDC because it's being deposited to the Aave smart contract. I'm going to confirm that. And hopefully, we get the execution result. And hopefully, if I go here, it's, yeah, done, right? And essentially, I'm not worrying about the user going to third-party place and bridging it. As long as you've configured your edge cases properly, that is, if they've got enough liquidity, like some liquidity over here, some liquidity over here, you as a developer just have to manage that. And from the user perspective, they don't have to care about all of this, right? And so, yeah, I've kind of deposited 10 USDC to the Aave base market from my funds on Optimism, right? So yeah, I mean, if you want to check out the code, it's essentially over here. I have linked the repo on the resources side. We also have basically an Avail Nexus hacker cheat sheet digitally, so where you can find all of this information. You can find, the docs. You can find project ideas. So when you land over here, you click on project ideas. It'll bring you here. All of the project ideas that we've listed out here, you can find it out over here. Again, over here, if you go to the repo, you'll see that I'm basically initializing the SDK, and then obviously trying to handle some error cases here. Um, we can handle some hooks, like suppose when an intent is generated, you can create a hook on what needs to happen there, maybe pop up a modal that kind of shows all of the details of the sources of the destination chain, etc., the fees and all of that. Again, for allowances, obviously, when you have to, access liquidity from different chains, you have to provide, get the allowances from those chains as well from the user. So you can again create specific modals and like user experiences for that using these hooks. And then as well, again, getting the unified balances, getting the aggregator to portfolio balance, you can do that. You just, again, it's just one simple SDK call. You just call SDK.get unified balances. You can even, if you don't want to get all of the tokens and all of the chains, you can just specify there's another call called get unified balance with the token as the parameter that you pass through. So you only get it for that token, right? And again, execute. So we've got just an execute function. We've got just a bridge and execute function, transfer, bridge, all of that. It's all there in the docs. I think we're about to run out of time, so I'll take some questions now.
What kind of chain are supported in the bridge? Like, can we add also custom EVM chain, or we have to follow the chain that are already inside the bridge?
Yeah, so right now, custom bridging, like custom networks won't work. You can only source and distribute liquidity across the chains that we support. It's just because of how it is working. Like the solvers cannot just take liquidity. Like it's based on intent solver method. So like, yeah, you need liquidity on that other chain as well. So that's why.
Thank you.
Yeah. But we do support all of the major chains like Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, Scroll, Polygon. Okay. So we're also only EVM compatible at this point, so flow chain may not work, unfortunately, but only EVM compatible chains, but all of the major chains are supported.
Thank you.
Yeah.